Hello and welcome to Arirang News for this Saturday, August 24th. I'm Park Jong-hong. In our top story, after 12 hours of negotiations on Friday, the two Koreas agreed to hold reunions of families separated since the Korean War at the end of next month at Mount Geumgang. As soon as the talks ended, South Korea's Red Cross got to work, narrowing down the list of candidates who will take part in the long-anticipated reunions. Connie Lee has our top story.
It's finally a done deal. A reunion for separated families from North and South Korea will take place around September 25th to the 30th at Mount Geumgang in North Korea, with 100 members from the South and 100 members from the North. On Saturday morning, the South Korean Red Cross put together its preliminary list of 500 people who might attend the reunions.
The older candidates were selected first through a computer process, and then priority is given to those who are looking for a spouse or child.
The list will soon be trimmed down to about 250 after physical checkups of the candidates. One more cut will follow before the final list of 100 people is to be announced by September 16th. There are nearly 73,000 aging South Koreans who have family in North Korea, and about 80% of them are at least 70 years old. Some are trying not to lose hope.
Out of the more than 70,000, could I possibly be selected to meet my relatives? I'm not so sure.
The upcoming reunions will come nearly 3 years since the last one in 2010. The recent inter-Korean talks about a resumption of family reunions came after President Park Geun-hye called for them during her Liberation Day speech on August 15th. 3 days later, North Korea accepted the offer for talks on the matter. And then the next day, South Korea proposed that family reunion talks take place at the truce village of Panmunjom. And then on August 22nd, North Korea agreed to meet at Panmunjom, and the next day the inter-Korean talks were underway. The two sides also agreed to hold video reunions for 2 days at the end of October, with 40 families from each side of the border participating. Connie Lee, Arirang News.
The U.S. Department of Defense is moving naval forces closer to Syria in preparation for a possible decision by President Barack Obama to order military strikes. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel stopped short of elaborating on any specific movements, but did say that President Obama had asked the Pentagon to prepare military options for Syria. The development comes on the heels of the reported use of chemical weapons by the Syrian government against civilians. Hagel said the U.S. is coordinating with the international community to determine what exactly happened. The Navy ships moving closer to Syria are reportedly capable of a variety of military actions, including launching Tomahawk cruise missiles, which was done in 2011 as part of an international initiative to overthrow the Libyan government. Partial strikes by unionized workers at Hyundai Motor took another bite out of the company's bottom line on Saturday. Korea's largest auto manufacturer is said to have lost about 145 billion won, or about $130 million on Saturday alone. The company's unionized workers failed to show up to work for their weekend shift this morning, meaning Hyundai lost out on the production of more than 7,000 vehicles. Some 46,000 union workers are at odds with Hyundai over wages and working conditions. They went on partial strikes this past Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, and the two sides remain far apart on a resolution. Brazil has just announced it will commit $60 billion to prop up its currency. With the Brazilian real nearing a 5-year low against the U.S. dollar, experts say the large-scale cross-currency swap is intended to stop the devaluation and provide liquidity into the markets. They say that Brazil, the world's 7th largest economy, has more than enough to carry out the measure, with a foreign currency reserve of up to $370 billion. Concerns about Brazil have been rising in recent months. The inflation rate has been over 6% since February, and there are doubts about the central bank's ability to contain it. Meanwhile, Brazil's treasury bonds are popular with Korean investors as an investment vehicle, and experts say this latest move is drawing much attention. In other news, if you're worried about gaining weight in your thighs these days, here's something that might make you feel a bit better. New medical studies indicate that having thicker legs may reduce your risk of diabetes. Kim Young-gil reports.
Mr. Min Byung-chul has been suffering from diabetes for more than 10 years now. He says driving for more than 10 hours a day on the job has severely weakened the muscles in his legs.
I don't have any power left in my knees. These days, I'm often at home due to the lack of strength. Sometimes I even collapse because the pain is just too great.
Further physical examinations found that both of Min's legs were very thin, at less than 50 centimeters in circumference. With these results in mind, researchers at Yonsei University's Graduate School of Public Health have been investigating the relationship between diabetes and the size of one's thighs. In a study of some 320,000 adults aged 30 years or older, a reduction in the circumference of men's thighs by 1 centimeter led to an increased risk of developing diabetes. For women, that single loss in size resulted in a nearly 10% gain in diabetes incidence. Overall, men whose thighs measured 43 centimeters or less were 4 times more likely to develop diabetes compared to men whose legs were 60 centimeters or larger. That difference was even more apparent for women with thinner legs.
Ordinary people can simply examine their bodies at home. As a result, a person will be able to roughly anticipate their chances of diabetes over their lifetime.
The correlation between these two metrics lies with how muscles control the flow of blood sugar in the body.
Thicker thighs are able to supplement the body with blood sugar more easily. Your cells are able to quickly receive the nutrients as soon as they enter your system.
It's recommended that you take part in regular exercise such as walking or biking to increase the muscle mass in your legs. Doctors also say a healthy layer of fat in addition to muscle will provide favorable conditions to prevent diabetes. Kim Young-gil, Arirang News.
Korea is well known as one of the largest steel-making countries in the world, and with good reason. According to recent figures from industry sources, Korea's POSCO runs 3 of the world's 10 largest blast furnaces, including the biggest one measuring 6,000 cubic meters in inner volume, which started newly operating in June. That's about 200 cubic meters larger than the second largest furnace in the world, China's Sagang furnace. The other world-class blast furnaces can be found in Japan and Russia. The Korean wave is still going strong, and worldwide interest is growing. Ahead of the 3rd annual K-pop World Festival in Changwon in October, preliminary contests were held in 11 countries, hosted by the Korean Culture and Information Service. In Poland, fans of K-pop performed the dances and songs of their favorite idol groups, with the goal of making it to the finals in Changwon. Those that make it to Korea will be able to receive coaching and mentoring from Korean entertainment agencies and polish their performances on stage. Organizers say the contest is aimed at boosting the popularity of Korean culture around the world and providing a venue for fans to show off their talents. The population of Korea's largest island, Jeju, has surpassed 600,000 people for the first time ever. It's a significant milestone for the region as the nation deals with a rapidly aging and shrinking society. Our Paul Lee reports on how Jeju is celebrating the occasion.
Mr. Kim Yong-han is a former company executive and university professor from Seoul, who traded in his cozy office in the big city for a simpler life on Jeju Island. Kim settled here in Jeju in 2011 and now runs a waterfront cafe overlooking the sea. He says he's always busy making coffee and entertaining guests, but admits he's happier than he's ever been. Kim is part of a growing number of Koreans who have chosen Jeju as a place to carve out a second life for themselves.
The appearance of Jeju's natural landscape made me see the possibility of new hope and opportunities. So I came down to Jeju because I felt determined to make a new start here.
It's a trend that the local government is embracing, as the island celebrated surpassing the 600,000 population mark this month. To put that in perspective, the previous population growth record was reached some 26 years ago. Shortly after the Korean War, Jeju's population was estimated at nearly 289,000 individuals. The local population boomed over the next 32 years and reached over 500,000 in 1987. Population growth remained stagnant through the 1990s and early 2000s. However, a dramatic change began 3 years ago when the net influx of residents moving to Jeju surged by more than 500% in 2011 on year. That figure continued to double in 2012, and Jeju has already welcomed in some 5,000 new residents this year alone through the end of May. The surging population inflow is mainly being attributed to a record number of foreigners and mainland Koreans emigrating to Jeju.
As more multicultural immigrants and farmers come here, the number of residents has exceeded 600,000 people in Jeju Island. With that in consideration, the government will take measures to improve living conditions.
The Jeju Special Self-Governing Province hopes to keep up the high growth rate, with projections showing the island region topping 700,000 residents in 2021. Paul Yi, Arirang News.
And finally, turning now to the weather. On Sunday, the southern coastal regions and Jeju Island can expect rain that will help ease the drought in the region. Meanwhile, the baking conditions in the central region are forecast to continue for the rest of the weekend. Here's the outlook now near you and elsewhere around the world. And that wraps up the news for now. The next live newscast is coming up at 10 p.m. Korea time. We thank you for watching.